Hey, what's up, everybody? Brant back here with another episode of Monday Musings. And I know it's been a while since you guys have heard from me, so I thought I would drop a quick video talking about AEW All Out, which took place this past Saturday on pay-per-view. It was their last big event before. I think it is their last big event before they go to TV on TNT in October because their next pay per view is in November. So, this was the next big one, and it's AEW, man. It's if you don't know what AEW is, it's All Elite Wrestling. It is this fresh, hot, new promotion that has brought back some old faces, some faces you might know from the indie scene, and some brand new faces that you've probably never seen before. The highlights of this particular card were as shown on the screen. You had Shawn Spears and Cody Rhodes in kind of a grudge match from the last pay per view. I'll talk about that. You had the sixth match this year between the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers. You had Pac, who you probably know as Neville from WWE and 205 Live, versus Kenny Omega. And then for the World Championship, AEW's World Championship, to crown the very first ever World Championship, you had Chris Jericho versus Hangman Adam Page. Those were the highlights. There were a ton of other matches as well, but those were the main attractions for the event. Now, I pose a question, and I'll jump back to this question throughout, but I pose a question in the title of this is, does AEW have too many false finishes? Are there too many false finishes in AEW? The reason I asked this, and I noticed this last pay-per-view, I noticed it this one, that in the big matches especially, but in most of the matches, there are a lot of false finishes. And if you don't know what a false finish is, it's basically when you think so much damage has been done, or there's some kind of dramatic moment in the match, and it looks like it's going to be over, and then the person kicks out. And it's usually after a signature move or a finisher has been hit on the opponent, maybe even multiple times, and it's like, oh, that's it, and they kick out. And it's something to build hype and build tension, and it's like, these guys are leaving it all out on the mat. They're giving their all, and sometimes it works really well. Other times it doesn't, and that's my question here. And again, I'll revisit it throughout this video, but that's basically what I'm asking, because I'm wondering what your take on it is. Are there too many finishes in AEW? Or false finishes, excuse me. So before we get into that actual question, I just want to give my basic thoughts on the pay-per-view. I love AEW. I think it's something really cool. It's something different, which is what we've all been craving for. It's something not entirely unique. It borrows elements from different things, whether it be WCW, whether it be Impact, whether it be a little WWE, even whether it be Ring of Honor or New Japan or the Lucha Libre, so on and so forth. I think they borrowed little pieces and kind of made their own thing, and that's what is exciting about it. Is that that's exactly what they're doing. They're taking feedback from the fans, from the people that watch this stuff, and saying, okay, this is what people like, this is what people want to see, so let's just put that all together, and that is AEW, which is really cool. And so far, the fans are loving it. Every single one of their events sells out in minutes, not hours, not days, minutes. And that is amazing. And overall, I think they have an incredible stable of performers. I think they have incredible matches. I like the way that they build up to things. Even if you don't follow like their YouTube show and all this stuff that's leading up to it, it'll be a lot easier to follow it for those that are more casual viewers once they do hit TNT, because you'll get to catch up on all the storylines and everything. But even if you don't follow that, when they do their pay-per-views, their events, they catch you up. They have these nice video packages that kind of lay it all out there. And in particular, this event, you had a grudge match between Cody Rhodes and Shawn Spears. Shawn Spears, you may know as Ty Dillinger, the Perfect 10 from WWE and NXT. They had a grudge match because last pay-per-view, Shawn Spears came out there and just hit Cody in the head with a steel chair, and it actually split the back of his head open. His warm blood had to have stitches. And by the way, I guess I should say this before I go too far into this. There will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen it, you definitely want to be aware of that before you get too far into it. So the lead up to it was that, and then you don't really understand why, but as they showed in the video package, which I assume played out on the YouTube channel, Shawn Spears and Cody Rhodes have been longtime friends, 13 years, holiday dinners together, things like that. They're really close. And Cody says something offhand in a meeting that Shawn Spears would be a good hand, which basically just means, this guy is he's another cog in the machine. He's not anything special. He'll just be a good hand. And it's apparently a derogatory term and something Shawn Spears took very personally, and thus brought in Tully Blanchard, who Tully Blanchard has a huge, long history with the Rhodes family. Now, going back to the Four Horsemen days, going back to his father and giving Dusty kind of a start, a lot of history there. And so that was really cool. And so you had this nice lead up. And one really cool thing I just want to, it's a side thing to mention that I love about AEW, especially the four heads, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, and Cody Rhodes, is they tend to embrace pop culture and geek culture and display that every chance they get. Last pay-per-view, the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega came out dressed like Street Fighter characters. This time, Cody Rhodes comes to the ring with an entourage, and they're all dressed in Star Trek uniforms, which I think was pretty cool. Diamond Dallas Page was there. He was wearing a red shirt. You had MJF was there wearing a yellow shirt. Cody had a captain insignia on his weight belt, and his wife Brandy came out as a, I don't remember her name, but is it 7 of 9 or something like that? She was the cyborgish character from. I'm not a big Star Trek fan. I'm sorry, but it was just really cool seeing them all together and dressed up and kind of coming out with a theme and everything. And I thought that match went really well. It looked like at one point Shawn Spears hurt his back pretty bad. I have back issues. I have 2 slipped discs and sciatica, so I understand what back issues are, and I understand how sometimes it catches and you can't put weight and you can't stand upright and you can't walk down the hall or anything. And it looked like Shawn he like knocked something loose or something out for a good portion of towards the end of the match where he was having trouble standing up. And so either that dude is a really good actor or he threw something out in that match, and he recovered and was able to finish and everything. But it was interesting. I haven't looked up to see if it was actually legit or not, but it was interesting. And I love the outcome of it. Arn Anderson, oh my goodness, Arn Anderson pops up and delivers a spine buster. When's the last time you saw Arn Anderson deliver his signature spine buster? That was amazing, and against the guy that Tully Blanchard was backing, so there's definitely history there. I mean, come on, it was awesome. That was a very good match, very good build up. You had speaking of the Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers, they put on an amazing match. There you go. That's the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers. This was, I mean, there were spots in this match that I have never seen before, that I never thought I would see. Just amazing, risk-taking, high-flying, death-defying moves. And it was just it elevated my respect for both of these teams, but especially the Young Bucks, because I've seen the Young Bucks for years and years coming up, and every time I saw them, it's like, oh, they're just kind of a knockoff Hardy Boys, right? That's kind of what they look like to me. But when it comes down to it, man, they can go, and they've really built a brand for themselves, built an empire for themselves, honestly, and they showed me why everybody loves them uh, this past weekend. And Lucha Brothers the same. They were doing just incredible things. They did the ladder match, and it was just some incredible stuff. The thumbnail for this video is it's a move where I cannot think of his name. One of the Lucha Brothers. I know that's gonna bug the crap out of me that I cannot think of his name. The older brother, where he did a Canadian Destroyer off the ladder through a table to Matt Jackson, and that was just that's a flipping pile driver if you don't know. Oh my goodness, it's just, and that's just one of the highlights. It literally, one of the announcers, I think it was Golden Boy, actually said you could just play this match back and the whole thing is a highlight reel, and it's true. And I think it's good to have one of those kind of matches on an event like this. But it was just amazing. But that does go into my topic of false finishes, and so does this match: Chris Jericho versus Adam Page. This was the main event of the evening. Obviously, the match to decide who would be the first ever AEW All Elite Wrestling World Champion. Hangman Adam Page, 28 years old, from Virginia, versus the legendary Chris Jericho, who's been wrestling 29 years. So he's been wrestling longer than Adam Page has been alive. And a different version of Jericho than you've seen ever before, a bruiser. This match was hard-hitting. These guys were hitting each other with clubbing blows, but not just that. They were aerial as well. Adam Page was doing suicide dives, or tope suicida, as they called them now. Chris Jericho was doing his springboard drop kicks and all that kind of stuff. I mean, these were big, strong dudes, but they could go. And there was some nice discus punches to Jericho's face that kind of busted him open. And the finish, a nice Judas elbow counter that made Chris Jericho be crowned as the first ever AEW World Champion. And that really leads to my topic of, are there too many finishes in AEW? Throughout this entire event, and especially in these key matches that I mentioned, and I didn't go into it, but Pac versus Kenny Omega was a really good match as well. It was supposed to be Jon Moxley instead of Pac, which is Dean Ambrose from WWE. He got a staph infection, couldn't compete, and so Pac stepped up. And the aftermath of the event kind of tells you why Pac is there, and that was pretty cool too. But all these key matches and a lot of the matches before them or in between them as well, there were so many false finishes. There were so many finishing maneuvers and signature moves delivered, and so many kickouts, that at one point it just got to a point it surpassed that that level of believability. You have a suspension of disbelief when you watch something like wrestling, or you watch a movie, or you read comics, or whatever. And so you allow for a certain degree of kind of ridiculousness, honestly, to occur. You just kind of accept it and take it for what it is. But there's like a point, there's a line, there's a visible line where you can cross over, and it's like, okay, yeah, I can't even ride this train anymore. It just doesn't make sense at all for me now. And I think AEW so far, and I've seen all their pay-per-views since they branded as AEW and came out. I think that so far in most of their big matches, that has been the case. They have kind of gone past that line, and they do too many false finishes. And I understand that they're a young company. They're trying to show what their brand is, and they're trying to show the heart that these guys have, and that they're, no surrender, never say die, never give up kind of athletes. And I get that. And I get that you want to show your absolute best, but sometimes you got to pull back and hold things in the pocket for later. And I understand in the world title match, I get it. I understand. Let's go for it. First ever world champion. Let's do it. Let's go all out there. But when you've already seen that in several matches before that, then it's like, come on, somebody just pin somebody and let's get this thing over with. You know what I mean? That's my concern. I don't know if I'm alone in that at all. So I'd love to hear your comments in the section below, and let me know if you feel the same way or if you think I'm just out of my mind and crazy or what. I'm not disparaging AEW or the wrestlers at all. I absolutely love the product that they're putting out. I love that we have this alternative. I cannot wait for October 2nd when they hit TNT, and I can watch them every single week. And maybe I'll be talking about them right here on this channel. Who knows? But I just am concerned that they don't know how to pull back. I watched an interview with Jim Ross before AEW's first pay-per-view in May, and he was talking about coming into the company, but he also talked about how a lot of times in these smaller companies and these indie feds and all this stuff, and with these younger guys, that they tend to just go and go and go and go and go. And sometimes to tell the story in the ring, you got to pull back and you got to save something, and you got to build up and build that tension and tell that story. And I'm just afraid and worried that sometimes they don't quite do that. And some of these guys should know better, like Jericho, like Cody, even like the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega. They've all been out there doing this long enough to know when to pull it back. And I think right now they're just in that phase of, let me show you everything I got. And I have confidence that once they get to TV and they're able to spread out their storylines and kind of build it gradually and build up these feuds a little more organically, it'll be better, and we'll see less of that, and maybe the impact will be stronger when it does happen, because I think that's something that's missing in a lot of wrestling is it's just impact, and then when you get to the real time for an impact, it takes the fizzle out of it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's the sizzle out and it fizzles out. So that's just my concern. That's my one like major nitpick of AEW. Other than that, I think they're doing a phenomenal job, and I cannot wait to see more. So let me know what you thought of AEW All Out, what you think of the overall product. Are you excited for TNT? And do you think there are too many false finishes in AEW? And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe and notification bell so you get updates on all the content going up to this channel. I'm going to start trying to update it a little more frequently. And you can also check me out if you're into comic books at all. You can check me out over on Comic Frontline each and every Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern time. That's 9 p.m. Central, as we go live with Frontline Live, talking about our top 5 comics of the week and comic news and all that kind of stuff. And we do monthly giveaways right now and all kinds of fun stuff over there. So you can check me out over there, and you can check out everything. I do not have a brand for it, but you can check out LastEmberPress.com for my comics. That's my publishing company, where we put out comic books and things like that. And we've got some cool stuff coming up for that. We've got a Kickstarter coming up and all kinds of stuff. But you can also just check back here for my AEW videos and WWE videos, because I love wrestling. I'm a lifelong wrestling fan, and I'm going to be talking about some wrestling stuff. So if you enjoyed this video, look forward to some more. And until next time, thanks for watching. I'll see you real soon. Bye.